Hi guys, welcome to another video with Emlyn. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back to my channel. If you are a new viewer, welcome to my channel. My name is Emlyn and here we talk everything about faith, personal growth, personal development, manifestation, and many more. So today we will go over trusting God for a job. This will be a testimony. This will be basically my personal testimony about how I trusted God for a job and everything I faced into that. So a few years back, I was basically going through a lot. I had quit my previous job for many personal reasons that I'm going to actually share one of these days as a testimony, because that on its own was a testimony. And I was in a very dark space of my life. I didn't have a job anymore. I didn't have a car because I lost my car. I lost my apartment. I literally lost almost everything. I lost almost everything aside from faith. But I was in a very, very dark space of my life. I was in a very bad relationship. I had lost my job. I had quit my job. I had lost my car. I had lost my apartment, and literally even friends. Like, things were just not going properly. I remember back then, I was there. I was looking for a new job, for a new opportunity. I was praying, but not as much. Like, I was literally praying, but not as much. I wasn't as close to God as I am today. I wasn't praying like every morning as I do today, or like at least try to do today, right? So back then it wasn't the case. It was more of me trying to, like, me praying from time to time, but still believing that my God is there, like He is there, just that I don't go to Him that frequently. So, and then like in the toxic relationship in which I had a dream one of these days. Before I had that dream, I spoke with my older brother and I was telling him about how I was going through so many things. I was looking for a job. I had lost my car. I had lost my apartment. And on top of that, when I was looking for a job, everyone, like every mentor that I had back then, wanted to sleep with me. Like, literally, I would go to speak to a mentor to help me, like, with getting a new job. And that mentor, for one reason or another, we want to like suggest some very insane things to me. And I told my brother about that, and I was like, I don't understand what's going on. What is it? Like, why am I facing all this at the same time? Like, why, like, in the situation in which I am, why am I having so many temptations? And I remember back then, my brother, first of all, he was very surprised because that was the first time I called about this kind of, situation, and crying and all that. And he literally told me, whenever God is about to give you something, you will have a lot of temptations around you. You will have a lot of temptations around you. You will see a lot of things coming your way. And he was so right, because I've been through that before, but it wasn't as bad as then, because when you are in that situation where you're so vulnerable, you can easily fall into any kind of trap. And to know that I was even in a relationship, but I was still having all these weird suggestions from here and there coming from people, it was really the devil tempting me back then. So yes, so my brother was like, no, you should just pray about everything and just keep your faith. And you will see that, like, in due time things will get back to normal. I remember we had that conversation, and then after that, it calmed me down and I felt better, but still I wasn't as, like, I didn't draw to God as much then. I started praying more frequently, but I wasn't still as much into my spirituality like today. So later on down the line, I had the dream, and then I called my aunt at that point, because that dream was very scary and I can't talk about it in this video, but maybe in another video in the future. But that dream was very scary. So I called my aunt and I told her I told her about the dream, and I wasn't really sure what to do from there. I just wanted her to just let me know, like, what she thought of it. And she told me, I have this novena. I want you to go through that novena, and let's see, after 9 days, let's see what God will reveal to you. Because she didn't know herself, what the dream would be about. But she knew one thing for sure. She knew that if I had gone through that novena, I will have my answer by the end of that novena. So basically it's a novena to Saint Jude. I'm Catholic. I don't know if like how many of you guys are Catholic, but you know, for Catholic people, we have these novenas where you can basically pray to one of Jesus' disciples, and they will come through for you. They will pray with you. They will pray for you, basically, to receive whatever blessing you are asking for. So I remember then she had sent me the novena to Saint Jude, and it's basically novena to Saint Jude, the patron of desperate causes. So basically, when you are very desperate, when you're in a very desperate situation, you can call to Saint Jude using that novena for 9 days. So it's basically making that novena or making that prayer 6 times a day for 9 days, and then you will see your answer by the 9th day, normally either by the 9th day or a few days after. So I took that, and then I was like, okay, sure, no problem, I will go through it. But I still didn't, because remember, back then I was so clouded with everything that was negative around me that even the energy to pray wasn't that much there. I was also so absorbed by the toxic relationship in which I was. So I just couldn't, like, I wasn't just doing things the way I should have done. Mostly for someone who has been praying for years. Maybe not consistently though. Then later on down the line, few days after, she reaches out and she's like, have you started the novena? How is everything going? And I'm like, I haven't. I told her, okay, no problem, auntie. Let me actually start it tomorrow. I started it the next day. I started it the next day, and then I was like, so that was my first time really consciously doing a novena. It was really my first time doing it consciously. So because I think I had done it years back, maybe like over 10 years ago or about 10 years ago, but I wasn't that conscious back then. I was very young and all, so I don't really remember how it went, and I wasn't even sure if it was a novena or something else, or another kind of prayer basically. But so the next day I started it at 5 a.m. because for that novena you need to do it, like you need to choose a specific time of the day to do it, and then you do it. You can either do it all together, like make the 6 prayers, or repeat the same prayer 6 times all at once, or you can do 3 in the morning and 3 later, or no matter how you want to go about it, as long as you repeat it 6 times for that specific day. Before I started it, I made a prayer to God, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start with this novena. But God, if this is really what you want me to do, by the end of this 9-day fast, please help me if you don't want me to be in this relationship. Because back then I had a feeling, based on the dream that I had, that my previous, like that relationship in which I wasn't supposed to be in it. Like I just had that feeling. So I told him, okay, if by the end of this novena, or actually if you don't want me to be in this relationship, let me receive a job by the end of this novena. Let me be able to find that job, because the relationship in which I was very toxic, both mentally, emotionally, and everything, and verbally as well. So I remember making that prayer. I remember telling God about that, and then I went on and I started that novena very early, 5 a.m. in the morning, and I did that for 9 days. I finished that novena like literally on a Thursday, and I didn't get my answer on that Thursday specifically, but I felt much better. Now, I was still trusting God. I was still having that faith that even though I didn't receive it on the 9th day, and there's another detail that I want to mention, because it says on the 9th, like by the end of the 9 days, you should put either 9 copies of it in church, or you can actually share, with people around you and recommend for them to actually do the novena. So I remember every time I do my novena, I usually try to recommend it to someone, because I don't usually go to church to drop it there. So I usually just recommend it to people. But yeah, so back then I had recommended it to somebody, but I don't even think I had recommended it. No, actually I did not recommend it to anybody, because it was my first time doing it myself. So testing it myself. So I had not recommended it to anyone. So I was even a little bit worried when I finished on the 9th day. I was worried that maybe I haven't seen any reply because I have not shared it with someone else. But then I was like, no, let's keep praying. Let's keep having that faith that God will help me. Then that was the Thursday, right? So few days after, so literally the next week, the company in which I work for right now, a recruiter called me for that specific company. And mind you, I actually had applied for this company few months back, but no reply. Like maybe like 2 months back or 2 or 3 months back, but no reply for a specific role back then, but no reply. So now they reach out to me. A recruiter reaches out to me for that specific company. And that's one thing I want to mention, or let me highlight it here. When something comes from God, it's very clear. He gives it to you. You don't chase it. That's the thing. Like when it's something that comes from Him, your own part is to do what you need to get done in order to maintain what God has given to you, or in order to get prepared for what God is going to bring for you. But everything else gets handled by God. He's the one to send it to you. You don't need to chase after it. It comes to you. Because I remember when they when they reached out to me for that role, I was even, let's say, I was very surprised back then, because I was like, well, I reached out to you guys, months back, but no one replied. And then you guys reach out to me with a different role and much better position, because back then it wasn't even a senior level as the one I'm doing right now. So they reached out to me with a senior position, more senior position. So that's how basically everything went. They asked me when I was available for an interview, and I told them, well, next week. Because I was ready, and that's the thing. You need to do your part. You need to prepare. You need to do interview preparations. You need to do what you need to do, basically, to get, for the opportunity. Like, for when that opportunity comes up, you have to get it in one go. It's true I didn't get it in one go. I had gone for a lot of interviews, and I had failed so many interviews. Back then, even though I had experience, I had failed so many interviews. But this one was very, very different. It was very, very different because they came to me and they told me, okay, well, it's going to be 30 minutes and done. And that's the other thing I wanted to actually emphasize on. When God gives you something, it goes pretty smoothly. I had gone to interviews where I did 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds even, and I wasn't called back. But this specific one, they reached out. Not only did they reach out to to talk about the position, on top of that, it was a 30-minute and done interview. I went for the interview, 30-minute interview, and it was amazing. They told me, oh, we will reach out to you by next week if you were retained. Guys, they reached out to me literally the next day. I got an answer the next day, literally. So they reached out to me the next morning, Friday morning, instead of Tuesday as they said they were going to. And this brings me to another point. When it comes to God, if you guys go 10 of you or 100 of you to an interview for a specific position, or to different interviews for a specific position, you that God has actually sent that job for, you will stand out amongst everyone. It doesn't mean that you're smarter than everybody, no. It just means that God has given you that grace. So my company reached out a few days after the Novena. I got the job literally by the end of that specific week. So literally less than a week after the Novena that I had done. And I'm always going to be very grateful for my auntie for teaching me that. And I was very, I wasn't sure of what I was going to meet there. Today I do this Novena very frequently. I now do it very frequently whenever I'm desperately in need of something. I literally just go to Saint Jude. Now, when I got the job, I told God that you have answered, you have agreed, actually, you have given that confirmation that I should actually leave this relationship because it's not for me. Now, this person has been there, even though I was sort of abused mentally, verbally and all, But this person has also, like, you put this person in my life at some point for a lot of reasons, and this person has been there supporting me and all that. Do you want me to, like, I don't want to just leave like that. Give me another confirmation. I literally told God, give me another confirmation if it's really what you want me to do. Like, if it's really, like, if you really want me to leave this man, please confirm one last time. And that was after getting my job though. So I remember I said that prayer. That was maybe the night after I got my job, or that same night, the night of the day that I got my job. The next morning, I got my confirmation, because God basically put some other proofs in front of me to confirm that this man was just not for me. And I had that good reason to leave back then, because, you know, and even though I said I don't want to dive into this a lot, but, you know, sometimes you get into situations where you know you should leave, but you need more than just your own personal thoughts. You need God's intervention for you to be able to leave. And that's what happened for me back then. So just to come back to what we were talking about, trusting God for a job, that's how I was able to trust God for a job. That's how I was able to trust that He was going to be able to do what I'm praying to Him for. And He did it. Now, to close this video, I just want to mention this. Many people think getting a job is about you getting prepared for interviews, showing that you have the appropriate background, showing that you have the appropriate expertise or experience. Yes, it involves all these things, but God's part, God plays a big role in the whole process. Yes, all these things are involved in it, but God plays a big role in the process. If you trust God to give you that job, you will notice that that job will not just slip into your hands, unless you're the one who quits, like I did for the previous one before that. Unless you're the one who quits that job. If not, it's not going to just slip. And another thing is, you will see how you will evolve in it. God's gifts, usually they come into smaller package or smaller packages, and then they just keep unfolding as time goes by. You will just be surprised how you keep growing and growing and growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day in that job. And that's literally what happened for me. And all this confirmed to me that this was God sent. God is the one who actually gifted me this job, and I'm forever grateful for it. That's why I actually really wanted to make this video be my first video, my first long video, because I just wanted to just thank God again, and just have this testimony and hope that it will help anyone out there. If you are going through it, if you are looking for that job and you're not able to find it, I will have a link to the Novena in case you want to try it. You will have instructions and everything else in the description. But in case you're out there looking for that job and you don't know how to go about it, you feel like you've applied for so long, you feel like you've been on the job market for over a year or more, I would say just turn to God. And in case you've been praying, because for me, I had been praying, it's just I wasn't maybe doing something different until I did, that novena, right? So in case you've been praying and it's not working or it's still not coming, I would say turn to God, but get through someone else. I don't know what you believe in, I don't know what's your religion, but if you're a Catholic or if you're a Christian, I would say maybe ask Jesus to help you pray. Or I would say try one of those novenas out there when it comes to Catholic people, or when it comes to asking a disciple or Mother Mary to help you, or asking one of the saints basically to help you pass a message to God and to help you pray or beg God for your help, for your sake basically. So that's all for today, and thank you so much for watching to the end, and I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment. Let me know what you think of this and if you would like to see more of these testimonies. Thank you.